Look in the mirror. You think you are special. You think Homo sapiens are the only humans. Because today, we are alone. But 100,000 years ago, Earth didn't look like this. It looked like a fantasy movie, like Lord of the Rings. There weren't just elves and dwarves, but actual different human species. At least 8 of them, all living on Earth at the exact same time. And we wiped them all out. This is the dark history of the first great extinction. Let's meet the cast. While our ancestors were just chilling in the warm plains of Africa, Europe and Asia were already conquered. Up north, in the freezing cold of Europe, lived the Neanderthals. They were the ultimate survival machines. They were shorter than us, but incredibly thick and muscular. Their bones were like steel. And here is a crazy fact. Their brains were actually bigger than ours. They hunted giant mammoths up close. Meanwhile, in the harsh mountains of Asia lived the Denisovans, the mysterious mountain ghosts. They adapted to extreme altitudes where normal humans would pass out. Down in the jungles of Indonesia lived Homo floresiensis. Scientists literally call them the Hobbits. They were only 3 feet tall and they hunted tiny dwarf elephants. And then there was the grandfather of them all, Homo erectus. These absolute legends survived for nearly 2 million years. We Homo sapiens have only been around for 300,000. Compared to them, we are just babies. They were the first to master fire, the first to travel across the oceans. For thousands of years, the world was perfectly balanced. Everyone stayed in their own lane, until roughly 70,000 years ago, when our ancestors, Homo sapiens, decided they wanted more. They left Africa and walked straight into Neanderthal territory. This was the ultimate clash. It should have been an easy win for the Neanderthals. They knew the land. They were used to the freezing cold. And in a one-on-one fist fight, a Neanderthal would absolutely crush a sapiens. But Homo sapiens had a secret weapon, a mutation in our brains. Scientists call it the cognitive revolution. We gained a superpower that no other animal had. We learned how to lie, how to gossip, and how to believe in things that don't exist, like religion, spirits, and money. You see, a Neanderthal could only communicate facts. They could say, there is a lion near the river. So maybe 50 Neanderthals could team up, but sapiens could say, the lion's spirit in the sky commands us to cross the river. Because of this shared belief, sapiens could cooperate in groups of thousands. They were strangers, but they fought like brothers. So when a tribe of 50 Neanderthals met an army of 500 sapiens, it was a massacre. And we didn't just have numbers. We invented better tech. While Neanderthals had to run up close to stab you, we invented the bow and arrow. We were the snipers of the ancient world. They never stood a chance. But it wasn't just war. Something else happened in the dark caves of Europe. When scientists finally mapped the human genome in 2010, they found a shocking secret. We didn't just fight the Neanderthals. We mated with them. If you have European or Asian ancestry today, you have about 2% Neanderthal DNA inside you. It affects your skin, your immune system, even your allergies. So in a way, they never truly went extinct. They live on inside us. But our ancestors didn't stop in Europe. They kept walking east, into the freezing mountains of Asia, where they met the Denisovans. Did we make peace? Nope. We wiped them out too. But just like the Neanderthals, they left a genetic ghost. Modern Tibetan people have a specific Denisovan gene that allows them to breathe at extreme altitudes where normal humans would pass out. We stole their genetic superpowers and took their land. Next, sapiens built boats and sailed down to the islands of Indonesia. This was the home of Homo erectus, the legends who survived for 2 million years. Surely they could handle us, right? Wrong. Shortly after sapiens arrived, Homo erectus vanished forever. And the tiny Hobbits of Flores Island? Poof. Gone. Are you starting to see a pattern? Everywhere Homo sapiens went, extinction followed. And it wasn't just other humans. When sapiens reached Australia, the continent was full of giant, terrifying monsters. 2-ton wombats, giant flightless birds, 20-foot-long venomous lizards, Within a few thousand years, 90% of them were completely wiped out. Then, sapiens crossed into North America, home to saber-toothed tigers, giant sloths, and mammoths. Gone, gone, gone. We didn't do it maliciously. We were just too good at hunting. We were an ecological serial killer, the ultimate invasive species. But how did we actually do it? How did skinny sapiens beat the massive, muscular Neanderthals? We didn't just have better weapons. We made a pact with a monster, the wolf. While Neanderthals hunted completely alone, Homo sapiens started throwing leftover meat to wild wolves. We formed the greatest alliance in the history of Earth. The wolves gave us their sense of smell. They could track prey from miles away, and they gave us security. When sapiens slept at night, the dogs stood guard. Neanderthals didn't have this. They had to sleep with one eye open. When it came to hunting or war, a Neanderthal wasn't just fighting one sapiens. He was fighting a human sniper and a pack of vicious wolves at the same time. It was a brutal, unfair cheat code. But our ambition didn't stop there. Because after we conquered the animals, we conquered the plants. The agricultural revolution. We stopped running. We settled down. We learned to plant wheat. It sounds like a massive upgrade, right? Well, historians call it history's biggest fraud. We think we domesticated wheat, but actually, wheat domesticated us. Think about it. Before farming, humans worked maybe 3 hours a day. They ate a rich diet of nuts, berries, and meat. But after farming, humans broke their backs carrying water from the river, pulling out weeds under the scorching sun, working from dawn to dusk. And what did they get in return? Just bread. Our skeletons literally changed. We got diseases we never had before. Because now we were living in crowded villages, right next to our own waste, and right next to pigs and chickens. That's where the flu, smallpox, and measles came from. Animals. But the agricultural revolution did one important thing. It multiplied our population. We were weaker, sicker, and unhappier. But there were millions of us, and that is how we truly took over the Earth. By 10,000 years ago, the dust finally settled. The Earth was quiet. All the other human species were dead. We were the last ones standing, the undisputed rulers of planet Earth. But victory came at a terrible cost. Because we killed all our brothers and sisters, we started to believe a dangerous lie. We started to believe that we were separate from nature, that we were put here by gods to rule over the animals. We forgot where we came from. And that brings us to the most terrifying thought of all. If Neanderthals and Denisovans were still alive today, how would we treat them? Would we put them in zoos? Would we enslave them? Or would we realize that humanity is a spectrum? We will never know, because our ancestors made sure we would never have to share. The history of humans is written in blood, but it is also a story of incredible survival. From a weak ape in Africa to walking on the moon. We are a paradox, both the destroyer of worlds and its greatest creator. If you want to keep exploring the dark, hidden history of humanity, hit subscribe. And always remember, you are not the first. Stay curious.